Okay. So last week we talked about the Rambam has in his Sefer, he has one verse, which is the thematic verse for the entire book, and he has it copied on each one of the 14 parts of the Mishnah Torah, and that is the statement by Abraham, which is Vayikra b'Shem Hashem Ke'olam, and he called out in the name of God, the eternal, the God of the universe. So we talked about last week that that the word Olam is best translated, not Olam means world, but really means better translated as worldview, which means that he lived in a world that the people around him believed in magic. And they believed that by doing rituals you can manipulate the gods, and then you can move your position up in status and significance by doing that. Okay? He was trying to bring people into a different world. And what world was that?
Abraham or
Abraham. What world was he trying to bring? That's why it's called the Amud Shalom. He is the pillar of the world. He's a pillar of the civilization. What world was he trying to teach the people? The world of one God. We're going to get into that specifically. So that's what that was his mission. So the Rambam takes that verse, puts it in the beginning of his textbook called the Mishnah Torah, and then puts it in all subsequent 14 books. So he wants to show you that this is a tool to the Abrahamic mission. To put it in, let's say, in world history terms, Abram lived in the Dark Ages. He wants to bring an enlightenment and a Renaissance. That's what he's doing. Okay? And we talked about that, we mentioned last week that the world, Adam and Eve had a knowledge of God, but due to their sin, their sin of the Eitz Hadas Tov Hara, the eating of the fruit of good and evil, which means that they went from seeking knowledge, naming the animals and seeking knowledge for its own sake, to be status seekers. Okay? Let me text him here. And that expressed itself. Just a quick review. Adam, after the sin, he renamed his wife. What did he name his wife? What did Adam name Eve before? She was called Isha, woman. Chava. Aim Kol Chai. She's the mother of all living things, which is sort of like a honorific, because if it's like arm candy, like if she's amazing by definition, how amazing. And then after Chava had Cain, she called him Cain, which was the word konet, to acquire. Kanisi ish es Hashem. I acquired a man with God. So she's like co-partners with God, and not a junior partner either. Okay. Then you see their kids kind of have the whole fight, etc. And then they have a kid, Chanoch. They have a grandkid. Cain has a kid, Chanoch, and has a child, and then he names the city after his kid. And then generations later, you have the rise of idolatry, which you read in your work in the Rambam, and you had people who are then the leaders are taking women from all they choose. They're feeling a sense of entitlement. They're the leaders. They're pursuing their interest is view themselves as independent sovereigns. So that's the world that Avram's trying to balance, to fight against and bring a renaissance. So let's have a reading. Halacha 3, and this goes into specific details. So who would like to read? Elise.
Okay. After this mighty man was weaned, he began to explore and think. Though he was a child, he began to think incessantly throughout the day and night, wondering, how is it possible for the sphere to continue to revolve without having anyone controlling it? Who is causing it to revolve? Surely it does not cause itself to revolve.
Let's stop right there. So basically, this is not mentioned in the Chumash itself. The Rambam gleans from Midrashim, okay, as far as the early years of Avram, because he lived in idolatrous age. So how did Avram become Avram? So basically, what really was Avram's thought about the nature of the universe?
there was something causing.
Right. In other words, hey, what
Wasn't
if
just happening.
Something was sustaining it.
right? It seems to be mood. There seems to be emotion. There seems to be a cause. In other words, he was pointing to if there's an effect, which is called the universe, that points to a cause.
And the thing is, all this is assuming is implying over here that the Earth is round.
Right. So right. So that's what they call a telemic perspective, that the Earth is not only round, but it's in the center of the universe, and there are 9 spheres, and they revolve. But leaving that antiquated and wrong vision of the universe out, but the basic idea, the basic mental move that there is motion in the universe, and that would presuppose a source of a prime mover. That was little Avram's thought. Now he didn't have us in 5 seconds. Let's keep on going.
He had no teacher, nor was there anyone to inform him. Rather, he was mired in Ur-Kasdim among the foolish idolaters. His father, mother, and all the people around him were idol worshippers, and he would worship with them. However, his heart was exploring and gaining understanding. Ultimately, he appreciated the way of truth and understood the path of righteousness through his accurate comprehension. He realized that there was one God who controlled the sphere, that he created everything, and that there is no other God among all the other entities. He knew that the entire world was making a mistake. What caused them to err was their service of the stars and images, which made them lose awareness of the truth.
Okay, stop right there. So he, as I said before, this took him like 37 years in the previous halacha. So he comes to essentially it's not simply the fact there is a God, but what else does the Ram add? He appreciates the way of truth and understands the path of righteousness. So not only is it what we call monotheism, but that living in a lawful world means that you too have to live in a lawful way. To be part of Hashem's world, you also have to be righteous. If they are part of, there was a right. Not only is there the universe has a cause, okay, that's very good, but there's also a right living. There's a righteousness. He came to that awareness. In other words, not simply that he was just had an abstract philosophical thought, but there was a lifestyle as well that was aligned with that. So
that's the ethics to go with the mind.
Exactly. There's a justice. There's a justice involved. But then what does he do? So first of all, he knew the entire world was making a mistake. I want you to know, especially we have a budding psychiatrist here, but one thing is that to have a thought which is contrary to all the thinking is very difficult to do psychologically, because nobody else is thinking that way. In fact, they're thinking the opposite way. So you're also going to feel like self-doubt, like I must be a loser because I must be insane. There must be something wrong with me because I think they're wrong. Now, a person could think they're wrong and be delusional. There could be a psychiatric cause to that. But this is happening over many years, and this is his assessment. He's finding the etymology or the pathology of these wrong beliefs that made these people idolaters. You know what I'm saying? So you have to understand psychologically. In other words, what I'm sharing with you is that not only is Avram super smart, he is also mentally, and we'll soon see, very courageous. He's a courageous thinker. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard to break out of the box. So, but then there's more than that. Let's keep on going.
Abraham was 40 years old when he became aware of his creator.
All right, so he starts at like roughly 3 when he's weaned. So that's we'll figure like 3 years old. So this process took 38 years. So you have to understand something. So we see something here that, religious development takes time. Okay? Go on.
When he recognized and knew him, he began to formulate replies to the inhabitants of Ur-Kasdim and debate with them, telling them that they were not following a proper path.
Okay, that's something in. Then that is, now another person might have a certain idea and keep it to themselves. What is Avram willing to do?
Speak up.
Speak up. He's speaking truth to power. He's being iconoclastic. fancy word. Okay, literally going to be iconoclastic in a second there. But in other words, he's actually, now why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? Why should he do that? You say tomato, I say tomato. You want to believe in that that by praying to a star, you can channel a mystical force and therefore have good crops and have a successful material life. Okay, fine. You believe your fantasy. That's your olam. You live in your olam. I live in my olam, and everything's groovy. Why is he trying to talk to people, debate people? True, but what's that? What's that emerging from? Why would we want to do that? He cares about that. Truthfully,
if you don't care about somebody, then you don't have to do anything for them. Whatever. They can just go on and be their merry way, and you're fine.
Right.
But if you care about somebody, you want the best for them, then if you see them doing something wrong, you want to help them out to do it right.
Correct. Just if you see a person physically in peril, that they're about to drown, you'll go and pull them out. So if they're going to lose their whole life being lost in a fantasy, then how much more so? So he felt compelled. In other words, his love of the truth, his love of God was compelled, and he had to speak up. He couldn't just let people live, like by using the an old movie, right? The Matrix, and being lost in that, plugged into that fantasy. He needed to help people out. Well, we'll see how that work out for him.
He broke their idols and began to teach the people that it is fitting to serve only the God of the world. To him alone is it fitting to bow down, sacrifice, and offer libations, so that the people of future generations would recognize him. Conversely, it is fitting to destroy and break all the images, lest all the people err concerning them, like those people who thought that there are no other gods besides these images. When he overcame them through the strength of his arguments, the king desired to kill him. He was saved through a miracle and left for Haran.
Okay, stop right there. So why did the king have to kill him?
Because he was making sense. Strength of his argument.
So fine. All right.
People to not follow what he said, not what Abraham said.
Exactly, because as was said in the earlier halachot, is that there's always going to be a relationship between the sovereign ruler and the religion they call the religion of the state. So he's now saying the religion of the state is baloney. So what is the king's rightful concern? He's going to undermine. Yes, he's going to undermine his authority, and there could be a revolution, and he could be killed. So basically, Abram must become an enemy of the state by design. And the Midrash says, who was the king? Midrash. Ram does not say his name, but who was the famous king in the Midrash? They tell it every Hebrew school also. Nimrod. And where did he throw Avram? According to the Midrash, into the fiery furnace. Okay, I believe that Midrash is taken actually by the story of Nebuchadnezzar in the book of Daniel, where the three guys, Hanani, Mishael, and Azariah, who refused to bow down to the golden idol, are thrown into the fire furnace and are miraculously saved. So to here, he was saved. He doesn't tell you what the miracle was. The bottom line is, basically what he's saying, based upon the laws of nature, Avram would have had a rather short career because he and his head would be in two separate parts. Okay, so that was what happens. Then he ran to Haran. All right, then we keep on going. We'll get to the punchline here.
There he began to call in a loud voice to all people and inform them that there is one God in the entire world, and it is proper to serve him. He would go out and call to the people, gathering them in city after city and country after country, until he came to the land of Canaan, proclaiming God's existence the entire time, as Genesis 21:33 states, and he called there in the name of the Lord, the eternal God.
So wherever he went, he is trying to bring people to this renaissance, this enlightenment, and until he came to Canaan. And it says, Vayikra Sham B'Shem Hashem Kel Olam. Okay? So that is the Abrahamic mission. Is everybody clear about that? Is that self-evident? 2, why is Ram stick that at the beginning of all the three in the Mishnah Torah as being this first evocative verse? What would you say? What's the reason for that? Why is this the pasuk? This is not a pasuk. This is the pasuk that he takes of all the 22,000 verses in 22,089 verses in the Tanakh. He picks this one. This one. Why this one?
This is the starting point of all these steps. Essentially, anything about living the right way, anything right, well, ultimately boils down to recognizing who the creator is and loving the creator. So you start from that point on, everything else can flow.
But it's not simply. It's also vayikra b'shem Hashem. He's calling out to. In other words, there are two intrinsic forces. There is a Avraham trying to bring his olam to the world, and there's olam of avodah zarah, of idolatry, of strange worship, that wants to keep people, locked in magic and locked toward, a world that you are the master of the universe, a world of status seeking, where you're the main force. So that's intrinsically an intrinsic tension that is that the Ram is pointing out is trying to deal with.
So it's the tension between just
Avram's olam, the olam of Kel olam, of the Lord of the universe, versus the olam of the idolaters, of the idolaters of the Rosar, which is seeking. The goal is personal sovereignty and personal excellent status, and doing certain magical rituals to maximize that. And that's basically what the Ram. So the Ram is viewing that as being the fight. That's why it's on every single book. Okay. Let us. Okay, I gave you guys a bunch of questions. Why did Ram use? Why did Avram use the Socratic method? Oh, he's Beis. And by the way, he stops doing that. By the way, the next halakha I didn't give it to you. He stopped doing that, which is an important lesson in life in general. What?
I feel like that helps them realize it for themselves, because if he was just like telling them, then by using that method, then he can sort of get them to sort of say it themselves.
Right. So he's showing. So you think the goal of life is X? Well, what about this? In other words, to allow people to. That's what Socrates did. He asked people basic questions to show them, the weaknesses of their positions or the unclarity of their position. So Avram's having these debates. Now he stops doing that because why did he stop doing that? Who can guess? Well, but he moved on. He kept on talking to people.
Every
No, it's the next. It's in the next halacha. I didn't share it with you guys, but this is sort of a separate point. Why do you think he did that? Stop using the Socratic methodology. Because then, for example, we know about because what do we see in the Chumash? Talks about him inviting guests. By Ita Eishel, he builds an orchard. People come in for refreshments, Monday night classes, sushi, wine. Instead of doing more of a combative kind of legalist, that's generally going to, you don't win arguments by and large, except for very exceptional people. It's too confrontational. He took a much more indirect approach. That's a separate point. So Avram the young man was far more took a much more assertive, aggressive approach. But then I think that he found it to be not so effective.
Reminds me of the Jehovah's Witnesses in the subway hanging out their pumpkins. Like how many people going through the turnstiles every day are going to even be at all receptive to that? Most of them probably just taking it and throwing it in trash and anything in the first place. And so like they're not, putting a lot of effort into it. They're probably not getting very far.
Right. All right. Well, look. I mean, I assume that they do it. They feel they get some sort of return. Okay. So that really finished up what I want to accomplish in class number 2. Now we're up to class number 3, which is really nice. No, it was an unrealistic amount to do in one class. Okay, whatever you want to call that. So now the Rambam has a second verse. he wants to get you into a second biblical thread. And that's a verse from Tehillim, Psalms 119. Az lo ebosh ba'abiti el kol mitzvotecha. Then I will not be ashamed when I gaze upon all your mitzvot. Okay, so that's from Tehillim, from King David. All right. So, well, I want to do a little in-class exercise. Did everybody? Let me bring it up here.
And these are both on every page. Both of these verses on.
No, that's only from that's the only time that verse is there is on for the whole book.
Oh.
So he has B'Shem Hashem Kel Olam is on every one of on the whole book and all the other 14 subdivisions of minor books. And then this one, this verse is the verse on the whole book. Okay, which question is why is it the verse on the whole book? Okay, so we're doing a little in-class exploration. I'm going to share this with all right. Okay, share screen. Okay, so what I want to do is the word is Oslo Bosh. I will not be shamed. So I want to get into the word shame, busha. So I want you guys to spend a little time. And you guys in Zoom land can let's spend a little time. Okay, I'm going to read it out. Well, let's do it together for a long time. Okay, scenario number 1. Frank is at home. He's looking at the 10th high school reunion invitation. He was laid off last week. What are his thoughts and feelings? What do you guys say? I want to hear some Zoom people. I want to hear some. You can take off that mute there. You've got something intelligent to share. What's he feeling?
Probably like, go after you guys. I'm going to hide under my desk.
Exactly. Well, so the question is, well, why doesn't Frank want to go to the high school reunion? Why?
Because no one wants to be like the loser without a job, and everyone's like, oh, hey, I'm so glad I'm not Frank.
Right, so 10 years after graduation, that means the person's 20 years old. So they should already be at their, well into their first or second job, whatever. And so what's the definition of shame? You feel shame. What is shame? What is shame? It's a basic question.
Like I should be something else. I
should be something else. So what should I be? Who determines what I should be? Let's ask that question. Who determines what I should be, that I should know, that I should feel bad or inferior, that I am unemployed at my 10th year anniversary, graduation? Dad?
I think, are you looking at me?
I'm looking at all you guys. Anybody wants to talk?
I was going to say that I think, Mendy's going, hi. Oh, really? Okay, hello. I was going to say that I think it's expectations of other people. So, it's the peer group. It's what people, expect and think of you. And then that's kind of, so I guess you're going with it's not necessarily Hashem or your potential based on him. It's the environment that creates it.
Right. So we call that our society or our olam, our worldview is that a person should, of course, be, the economic master, and of course should be gainfully employed at every possible second, and should have a job which reeks of excellence and superiority at every possible moment. Would you say that would be the person's working definition? Roughly. All right, let's keep on going. Okay, number 2, moving down the chart here, having some good time here. Jenny is at home. She is looking at the 10th high school reunion invitation as well. She has gained 30 pounds since high school. What's her thoughts and feelings? What's Jenny feeling? First of all, is she going? She's no. Elise's going with a big no can do on that one. Why not?
Because the same sort of thing. She's embarrassment, whatever. She thinks she should still look the same, or she's like downgraded or whatever.
She's look better.
What?
She's look better.
Right, exactly.
Right. So and therefore what? And therefore and since our society has ranked the person, the overweight person, the obese person as being intrinsically inferior, so she feels a sense of intrinsic lack because of her situation.
I think it's like we were talking about the peer group. I mean, if she knew that everyone else had also gained 30 pounds since graduation, which is probably the case, she would probably be psyched to go. Like misery loves company.
Right. Well, then she's at that case that she's not. Well, then there's no.
She wouldn't feel inferior.
She would feel.
We have Facebook also, so everyone probably already knows.
No, but
I think it's like a peer.
Obviously, she's using the picture. First of all, either she has super high privacy settings, nobody can see her current condition, A, or B, she's putting, or you're only seeing headshots.
I just think it's about having other people. It's like if someone, I really think it's about like the peer thing. If someone's like fat in the woods and no one's around to see it, then like no one cares.
It's true.
Well,
That's
Facebook didn't exist when I had my 10th high school reunion, and it was the who's going. Most of my friends that I was in touch with were thinking of not going because they just didn't feel like it. And then everyone's curiosity got the better of them. They wanted to go and see how everybody's doing and who kept growing after high school and who got fat and who's married and who's not. And, it's like, so we all went. And, it was like, inevitably there was somebody who
right.
put on a lot of weight.
So in the post sin situation, in a status seeking society, our society creates a litany of unrealistic expectations for the people. Therefore, if you are at variance of that, you will feel psychic pain because you are not aligned with what you should be. Metrics of success. I'm off the metrics of success. I'm not having. I don't have. Abs of steel. Whatever. I don't have whatever I should have. Okay. Let's keep on.
Everybody wants to know how their ex looks from high school, or that person that they never had the guts to ask out. Are they still looking hot?
Right.
That's the
Right, because the reason why I picked this example of the high school reunion, because that is the ultimate. It's the opportunity where all these measurements and metrics of success are being assessed by everybody. You come there, you are being judged on everything. What are you wearing? What do you look like? What car did you come in? What are you doing? Who are you married to? Who are you living with? Who are you not living with? Et cetera, et cetera. That's it. So the metrics of society of success, no matter how unrealistic they may be, you're being judged. Therefore, a person who is feels a complete loser will feel that psychic pain, will not even show up. In fact, will feel bad about that. And just the opposite is, oh, are you going to go? It's just like pain. Okay, here we go, another one. Steve logs into Facebook and sees that his quote-unquote friend, one of his 3,000 closest friends, obviously, had posted a picture of him drunk and looking like a fool last Saturday night's karaoke party. What are his thoughts and feelings? What are his thoughts and feelings, guys?
You should have had better privacy settings.
Well, the problem is that his friend on the feed sent it. You can't block that. Somebody can upload a picture. I mean, you can I guess you can undo it. You can untag, but
it's probably very embarrassing.
What?
It's probably very embarrassing and potentially career harming.
Both. So why? Because everybody has a public persona, right? And therefore, a person wants, and Allah validates that. The person wants to perceive as being a person of rank and distinction in the community, and lo and behold, here he is, face down in his own vomit at the old at Sweeney's on Saturday night karaoke night. He's feeling a little bad because he's been revealed, he's been outed as being a drunk or prone to drunkenness. You know what I'm saying? So therefore he's feeling a sense of shame, busha. But now I'm scenario 4 and 5. I want to start to shift the gear a little bit. Michelle slams down the phone. This is scenario 4. She just had the same fight with her mother. She promised herself that she would not have when she made the call. What are her thoughts and feelings?
Probably a lot of frustration with herself.
Okay. She's angry. Why is she angry at herself?
So rationally, she would be aware of what she should be doing.
Right.
She had the knowledge, but she couldn't do it.
She couldn't control herself. Right. She could not control her emotions. And she feels bad about that. And she knew it. No, she knew, I'm going to say this, trigger 1, trigger 2, trigger 3, boom. This is going to have another unproductive conversation, which was going to end up by slamming of the phone on the thing. And you never love it. You know, whatever the thing may be. And that's it. But there's a sense of, now, is that the same kind of shame or bad feeling that Frank, Jenny, and Steve have? The internal assessment. And it's also a more realistic sense of, you know, that I don't have the maturity or the willpower, or the self-control, the discipline, whatever the terms may be, the awareness, whatever the what's holding me back to be able to deal with this obsessive behavior, which I know is bad, and I know is going to ruin me, and I know I'm going to pay the consequences, but I still tend to do it anyways. So that's another kind of feeling bad, and also a kind of busha. Let's go to number 5, and I'll put it all together. Joe just slammed the door to his office. He just finished having the same petty power struggle with his partner, Alan, that he promised himself he would never have again. What are his thoughts and feelings?
Probably similar to Michelle, in that it's just more internal, because again, like you were saying, like he knows it's petty, he knows he shouldn't be, but he can't.
He gets sucked in.
Yeah.
He gets sucked in, and he knows that it's not going to be beneficial. Nothing's going to be resolved. It's going to make things worse. He knows that, you know, he says A, and he knows, and he may even know why he even says that. He may even already have some sort of self-awareness about the dynamic of self. And lo and behold, he's suffering from that. So what I share with you is that there is busha coming. There is a busha of the Avodah Zarah world. There's the status-seeking world, and there's the realistic busha of the Avram world. So if you're living in a rat race, which has arbitrary standards of greatness, so busha in that world, you feel bad because you're not measuring up. How come I'm not a millionaire when I'm age 30? I feel like a loser. Right? Versus if you're a wise man, wise person, there is a realistic pain at seeing a lack in yourself within the context of a realistic society, which measures person's success in seeking wisdom, a balanced life of moderately, taking care of your needs, and also ongoing learning. Or he feels that immaturity. That's a helpful busha versus a unhelpful busha is feeling bad because if I'm a girl, I'm not a size 2, which I was one for 12 seconds when I was 13. Okay, right? So you know what I'm saying? Well, that's because it's coming from that rat race society that imagines the women should be this, and men should be this, and there's no reason for that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying there's realistic busha, and there is unrealistic busha. There's the busha which is there's the busha which is helpful, which you're in Avram's olam, and then there's the busha of our olam, which is the rat race busha. So does everybody, before I go on, do you ever see there's the word a shame of the sense, the pain of feeling lack in oneself can emerge from 2 different causes. One can cause from a society that has unrealistic metrics of greatness, versus a realistic metric of success. So before I'm going to pause it. Do you see the distinction between the two? In other words, Michelle feels bad because she feels bad that she doesn't have that maturity to be able to manage her relationship with her mother, which is hard. And she wished she had the technique to be able to deal with that. She feels bad about that, and then she knows that she's making the same mistake. She's spinning her wheels. It's helpful. Maybe it'll be a cause of actually improving. Versus feeling bad because our society, our rat race society, is determined that a guy should be this and a girl should be this, and at age 25 should do this, and age 30 should do this, and 30, everything is already, and they're arbitrary. Question.
Yeah, this might be like splitting hairs a little bit, but
please, I'm a rabbi. I like that. Go ahead.
So I see the difference between kind of the nature of these scenarios,
yes.
right? One being kind of externally imposed standards that don't have any internal sort of moral significance, and
yes.
one kind of not.
Yes.
But could you also argue, but it doesn't necessarily seem like scenarios 4 and 5, even though they might be more appropriate, or necessarily more realistic to achieve. And I think in some ways, realistically, it's probably easier to lose 30 pounds than to avoid getting these certain types.
Correct.
And I could also imagine a scenario where a particularly kind of perfectionistic individual could feel unhealthy shame for not achieving kind of an interpersonal standard that may be ideal, but is not realistic. You know what I mean?
Correct. If it goes into a realm of an obsessive compulsive neuroses, then that's also that I should be a person. Right. I'm ashamed because I am not an angel. Okay, so I'm a person without a psyche. Okay, well, hello. You have a psyche and you have emotions. That's it. Correct. Everything can be to an extreme. The question is, so therefore, taking it back to the verse here, what is King David saying? Then I will not be shamed when I look at all your mitzvahs. So he looks at, what does it mean? He looks at his lifestyle that he doesn't know all the mitzvahs, fully or deeply. Therefore, that means there are realms that are not being educated by the therapeutic value of a mitzvah. So he knows that this is a realm which has been unexplored, which by definition is going to be it's to be a part of my lifestyle, which is basically going to be, the default setting is doing what everybody else does. So in an unexamined society, in a dark age society, it's going to be magical, superstitious, irrational. Because I didn't think about it, and I don't think about that area. I just have a habit. So David is saying, then I will not be ashamed. You know what I'm saying? Because all parts of my life and all parts of my lifestyle have been examined via the agency of understanding the mitzvah that is applying to that. Because all the mitzvahs deal with all aspects of life. You know something? That's what the idea is. In other words, having the wisdom of Hashem applying to all aspects of life, then I will not be shamed. That's a real busha. I mean, in other words, I have a relationship and I haven't given it 3 thoughts. So by definition, the assumption is that it should be subject to shame because what are the goals? What are the metrics? What really is it? What is a successful marriage or relationship? I don't know. Is it based upon Disney? Is that my educational point of Cinderella and everlasting prince and these magical kisses and all these kind of fantastical notions? Is that really governing my? In other words, I'll give you a simple one. Like I got this question recently, last 2 weeks. Rabbi, how do I know that she's the one? Well, the question already presupposes a fantasy that there are exactly one. There may be one category of person that could be your husband or wife, but it's not one individual person. There's one person, there's more than one person you can feel attracted to, have similar, enjoy being with, would be the excellent father or mother to your children, and have similar values. That's it. Those are the 4 metrics that are essentially realistic. Everything else you get on that is a bonus track. Likes to travel. No, not important. Not important. Speaks French. Definitely not important. Likes fine dining. No, not really valuable. What? These are the metrics that I hear as just bizarre. Yeah, I don't have to tell you. So
You referred to our world, like the idolater status world,
status-seeking world.
status-seeking world.
Yeah.
So Abraham's world would be what, like a godly world, or
It's a world is seeking. It's a world seeking God's wisdom in everything, seeing God's law manifest in everything. His wisdom in everything. His justice in everything. What's the just path? What's the wise man's path? That's what he's trying to explore. Versus superstition and magic and things that demonstrate the heroic superiority of one person over the other. That's the world he lived in, and that's the world that. Now, truth is, Avram has such an impact that we're not. Our world is even redeemed somewhat because of Avram's effect. Even the Western world has been greatly aided by Avram. We've had an impact already, but not fully.
But there's a fundamental difference here between Abraham's approach to this and King David's approach to this.
Yes.
Abraham grew up at a time where essentially at that time it was only 7 mitzvot.
Well, he was not even aware of any mitzvot. He wasn't aware of any God.
Which the thing is that most people didn't even know what the heck they were. They didn't even know they existed. It's like mitzvot they know. They didn't even know these mitzvot existed.
Correct.
So all Abraham had to go on was just observing the world, and so he wasn't looking at this through the lens of what we know of as Torah.
Yeah.
He was just looking at it, I guess, in terms of what made sense in terms of.
As a philosopher, right?
It seems as God is being kind in creating the world for us and wanted to emulate that. Whereas David is coming at it from the lens of we have 613 mitzvot and we have the understanding of it that we get from the rabbis, and he's looking at the world from that particular lens.
He's dealing with a post-Sinai community, which has and his challenge is people who are it's a site that tends to slip into a state of denial and forgetfulness. Versus Avram is creating out of nothing a whole renaissance by himself. Or King David is maintaining a civilization, versus Avram is creating the civilization. David is the dwarf standing on Avram's shoulders, the giant. He's called, that's why Ram calls Eitan Zeh, their name, this giant, it's called differently, but he referred to him as a giant. He was a Muda Shel Olam. He was two things. Why is he called a giant? He's a giant not in him. Sure, he was not 12 feet tall. He was rather a giant of a stature of a person. He's the giant that
Strong person.
He's
Intrinsically strong.
He's intrinsically strong, and he is the paradigm maker. He's able to change the world. He's changing the world, and the world has been changed already because of Avram. Even they talk about the three Abrahamic religions. Even today, it's named by him. So he was he was, as Mendel says, he's a philosophical giant. Correct, he is. So that's the deal. I want to. I have a minute and a half. I want to. Let's take a look at the Rambam here. The laws of the king. Talking about the law of the king. Text 1. Send you guys page 12 if you have it. Who would like to read?
I will read.
Go ahead.
All right. Halacha 10. In all matters, his deeds shall be for the sake of heaven. Purpose and intent shall be to elevate the true faith and fill the world with justice, destroying the power of the wicked and waging the wars of God. For the entire purpose of appointing a king is to execute justice and wage wars. As Samuel states, our king shall judge us, go out before us, and wage our wars.
Okay, so David is doing a number of things. So he's a king, so he's taking care of the military requirements. But his job is to fill the world with justice. One of his tools, he's also the CEO, the chief educational officer. So what text did he write? What text did David write Exactly. Tehillim, Psalms. Okay, most of which are from him. Okay, so the Ram took a pasuk from him because David is teaching us as well. So part of his job is to block injustice, govern them properly, but to educate. That's the job of a Jewish king. When you think of kings, basically tyrants and King Lionheart, Richard the Lionhearted, and battling and waging wars. There are sometimes necessary for wars, but it's but to keep it a little bit better. Laharim dasa emes to exalt the true religion. He's talking about the Abrahamic religion. That's his job. This is his mission. By the way, it's not limited to both Jew and non-Jew. It's not a parochial thing. And to fill the world with justice. I mean, that's it. And to break the arms of the wicked. In other words, to people who are opposing, who are tyrants, who are taking advantage of the poor. I mean, that's if you look at the critiques of the prophets throughout the books of the prophets was injustice, idolatry and injustice. This is the main themes of the books of the prophets. That's the battle. That's the battleground. So that's the deal. So that's what David. So let's put it all together. So the Ram puts these two verses at the beginning of page 1, the top of the page here of the entire Mishnah Torah, is because he's saying that there's the Abrahamic mission of B'Shem Hashem Kel Olam, which is to call the name of God, the God of eternity, God of the universe, two possible translations, which is to illuminate the world from the dark ages of idolatry to the enlightenment of Hashem. And then you have it being modified by that the tool called the Mishnah Torah is to remove busha, which is basically a realistic pain at perceiving a lack in yourself when you measuring yourself as far as seeking wisdom, versus unrealistic pain of seeking status in a rat race society. You see that distinction? So that's what, because that's the main. So Rambam, in a certain sense, by bringing into this two threads, one from the thread of the Chumash, which was from 2 weeks ago Parsha, and this one from the book of Tehillim, chapter 119, weave us into the context of the two motifs of Avraham, and then by extension, David. You can see that. See how that's an introductory framing of the whole textbook. Okay, people in Zoom land. So
Yeah.
you guys, is this clear? Unclear? Question?
I have a question.
Question, Miss Stacy.
This part that says, okay, so I understand the first part, elevate the truth. Okay, what's this part? For the entire purpose of appointing a king is to execute justice and wage wars.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So he is in the Jewish.
So, like, so you're saying the wisdom, and then there's another part that's saying you shouldn't worry about
Stacy, we can't.
what other people think. You should have Hashem
So,
who judges you.
I apologize. Can you just share that?
I can't hear you.
Can you share that again?
You want me to repeat what I just said?
Yeah, because it didn't come clear.
Robot.
Oh, you didn't come. Okay.
I couldn't hear it.
All I was saying was,
garbled. Yeah, she got another shot.
can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I hear you perfectly. Go ahead.
Okay, so I understand the first part of Halacha 10
Good.
is about seeking wisdom. And then the second part, though, for the entire purpose of appointing a king is to execute justice and wage wars.
Yes.
So they're talking about Hashem being king, and we shouldn't, not only should we seek wisdom, but we shouldn't have shame from other people, like we should have it only based on Hashem. That's what it's saying?
The verse saying, he's saying that the shame is talking about I'm not I'm just
Explain to me the last sentence of halacha 10.
okay.
What does that mean?
So the job of the king, I want to bring it to you, is that he has to teach the people, obviously maintain justice, and by definition sometimes he has to destroy the power of the wicked and wage wars. So he's part of the just society. But what I'm sharing with you, which is that when King David wrote this verse, it's part of his kingly role of teaching the society the best life. Do you understand what I'm saying? He's teaching about what should I feel embarrassed about? Should I feel embarrassed about that I weigh 30 pounds than I did when I was in high school? Or should I feel bad that there's all parts of my life are unexamined, which the mitzvahs are trying to help me examine? Should I feel bad because I don't have an awesome job? Or should I feel bad that my relationships with my family and friends is not guided by any kind of wisdom? You know what I'm saying? What I'm sharing is as his king, he's teaching us how to live life. What I'm saying, that's part of a Jewish king's role. That's all I wanted. That's why I'm bringing that halacha in. Now, part of his job is to teach, but also to do justice. In other words, be part of the judicial system. And lastly, is when people are completely uncooperative, having to fight wars. The Plishtim are not going to be open to having a conversation. Okay, when they're attacking, and burning people's village down. So it wasn't time for let's discuss this, guys. So you have to gather the people, and you have to have a war. There is a time for war. There's a time for peace. There's a time for war. That's what his son wrote in Kohelet. Stacey, did I answer your question? You're on mute, so I can't know what you're saying.
So it froze and canceled out in the middle, but I think I heard the end of it. So who's the king? The king being
David.
Hashem?
Well, excellent point. So David is functioning as a earthly king, as a proxy, as an agent. Good point. But even he has, by the way, interesting point, and I'll leave it like this. Since people will not get distorted that he is the ultimate king, he does not, the idea of checks and balances we have in American law. We have a Sanhedrin, we have a Navi in the Jewish side, so he cannot do stuff without the okay of those other two on certain major decisions. So people should, and he has to carry around a Sefer Torah. Why does he have to carry around a Sefer Torah? So know that he is fundamentally subservient to the true king. He's a little king. All right, guys. On that note, we will end it tonight, and we'll pick this up next Tuesday night. All right, guys. Have a good night.